What is going on, guys? Money Webby here, back again on Wednesday. Got a nice 11-game slate here tonight. I got it broken down for you with my money six of my favorite plays on the slate. So before we get going, like always, if you could drop a like on the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. Let's try to get over a hundo on this one. Thank you. If we can hit that, let's hop right into the first guy up. I'm going to go with Russell Westbrook. Finally came back to his stat stuffing kind of stat line last game. 68 DraftKings points and a nice triple double for him. He didn't even shoot that well either, only 34%. If he could just shoot it like well in one of these games, I think he could have a really big night alongside hopefully some more stats with the rebounds and assists again here. And it's a pretty good matchup against Denver. They've allowed a decent amount of more fantasy points to the point guard position versus the shooting guard position. So maybe that kind of favors Westbrook over Harden in the game like tonight. Harden is a player that can sometimes be matchup proof, obviously, but I think Westbrook could get a little bit of a boost there. And it should be a pretty high-scoring game, pretty fast-paced. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Westbrook there as my first player. Then I'm going to go with Jokic. He's priced down a little bit, a pace uptick, and a better matchup for him to really get going. I mean, this season he's been really kind of disappointing over the past 5 games. Only one game over 50 DraftKings points, and he's really had a lower floor than normal this year. Last game, only played 26 minutes, and might have been partially due to them being up big, so he didn't really need to play as much. But I just think he can fill it up a little bit more here, and also against Clint Capella, maybe you see some extra run as Capella plays around 35 minutes, like 36 minutes a game. So if Jokic can get closer to that minute total, and I think he's going to have more rebound upside in this game with just how much the Rockets shoot, and that the faster pace, there's going to be more rebounds available from the get. So I think he can get a double-double, and if the assists come, then he can flirt with a triple-double in this game at a nice price tag at $8,400. Considering the upside he has, he's always a value around this range. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my second guy. I'm going to go with DINWIDDIE. Last night, he played pretty well. I believe that was last night. Now, 2 nights ago, I don't know what I'm thinking, 50 DraftKings points. I did tweet out that when Kyrie Irving was ruled out, that DINWIDDIE get a boost, and he definitely showed out with 50 DraftKings points. He was really the only one that showed up to that game as they scored 86 points. But this is the better matchup, honestly, for their whole team against Charlotte, one of the worst defensive teams and just worst teams. And DINWIDDIE, good matchup against Rozier, who's been struggling on defense this year. 7,200. The price tag is up a little bit, obviously, but Kyrie already ruled out, and I think this is a good enough matchup where DINWIDDIE can get close to 40 DraftKings points in this game. He's always been a player that has the capability when he stepped up for like when D'Angelo Russell was out or anything like that. He's always been kind of a good scorer and a good facilitator as well. He can get a good amount of assists, as we saw last game with 8. So at 7,200, I don't think the price is that bad, honestly, and I think he can return some good value still. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my third guy. Then I'm going to go with a little bit of an interesting play. Blake Griffin here at 7,100. He's pretty cheap, considering that his minutes did trend up a good amount last game. He went from 24 to 30, and the big thing is here that they had a ton of he had a ton of rest after that game. I mean, it's been it's been a 16, 17, 18, 19. So he's had 4 days of rest since that last game. So I think he could push closer to maybe 33, maybe 34 minutes in this game. And it's a really good matchup against Chicago, who is not a good defensive team. They've given up a good amount of power forwards. And I think Blake Griffin can just have a big game in this game. Like, he's a little bit of a risk, obviously, as his minutes could be still limited. But just with how much it went up from the first to the second game, and now with it being his third game with a good amount of rest in between, I feel like he can get really good upside in this game if he does get closer to his normal minutes that we saw last year. And his usage rate has been really good. It's like 34% to start the year. So super usage alongside a possible minute uptick could result in a really good value at 7,100. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as our fourth guy. They want to go with DeJounte Murray, a little bit of a risky one, but the news with Derek White being out, hopefully that gives him a little bit extra run in this game. He's only been averaging 22 minutes a game this year, which is very low for a starter. But if he can get closer to like 28 in this game, it's a really good matchup against the Wizards. Another really bad defense. Both these teams actually have been pretty damn bad defensively, so it should be a high-scoring game. And I think Dejounte Murray can honestly bully Isaiah Thomas. That's like a huge mismatch. Dejounte Murray, really good athlete, really lengthy, and compared to Isaiah Thomas, who's like the smallest starting point guard in the league probably. I'm not sure there's anyone smaller at the top of my head, but definitely a mismatch, and IT not known for his defense. So I think Murray can use that size advantage to his advantage and have a really good game at 5,200, hopefully. I mean, he's shown really good upside, and despite like limited minutes, like 26 minutes against OKC, almost got a triple-double with 44 DraftKings points, had a double-double against the Lakers in 24 minutes for 43 DraftKings points. So he's a really good rebounding point guard, and if he can just score a little bit on top of that, he can return a good amount of value. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my fifth guy. Then we're going to go a little bit off the board a little bit. I mean, this was a guy that returned a really good amount of value last night, and another night where there's not people or like a lot of options below 4,000 that are really sticking out to me. But Marquese Chriss is someone at 3,700 that could get around 20 minutes again here, and when he's gotten like over 15 minutes, he's been pretty solid. I mean, he's averaging over one fantasy point per minute. If you look here, 15.6 minutes per game, 17.1 fantasy points per game. So doing pretty solid when he just gets a decent amount of minutes. He had 21 last night against Memphis, good for 34 DraftKings points. And this game could potentially turn into a blowout. I mean, the Warriors are in a back-to-back here. They're going against the Dallas Mavericks, who've been pretty solid this year on the road. So I think this game could get ugly, and then Marquese Chriss off the bench could see that extra few minutes, especially if the starters are kind of struggling to start it off, and maybe kind of steps in. Steve Kerr gave him some praise after the game, so a little bit of a narrative there. And he's always been a player that when he's been given the minutes, he's been pretty active with rebounds and pretty active just as a scorer as well. So at 3,700 here, as I said 100 times, with Draymond Green in the starting lineup, he's like playing some point guard now or whatever. Their bench is really thin. It's like him and three other guys maybe. So I think he just has to get around 15-plus minutes in this game. And at 3,700, good value. I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my final guy. So you got 4,900 remaining per player with Russell Westbrook, Dinwiddie, Blake Griffin, Jokic, Dejounte Murray, and Marquese Chriss. Definitely some up and down players, so there's definitely some risk with these guys. But I think all of them have really good upside considering their matchups and just considering their price, because they're not, besides Dinwiddie, they're not really priced at their upside. So I think this could be a lineup that really kind of turns out well. I mean, even if like three of these guys hit their peak, then they're going to carry the weight of the rest of the players most likely. So I hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like in the video if you did. Over 100 likes would be appreciated. Thank you. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already to continue to get these videos the rest of the NBA season. Good luck here tonight. You can comment any questions or any plays that you like here on the slate. And follow me on Twitter at MoneyWebby for any updates. Like the NBA always has some kind of breaking news as the day goes on. Like last time, I did pivot from Miles Turner to Tristan Thompson, even though it didn't work. I like Thompson with Caleb out. You just got to trust the process over the results sometimes. And it was a blowout, so Thompson only played like 25 minutes, so that was a little bit unlucky. But hopefully no news after this video really breaks where it affects the slate too much or the update too much. But good luck here tonight. We'll see you back here again next time.